if you take a long-term view, there is no denying that India will be a source of a lot of global value creation. Despite short-term flux, short-term volatility, short-term disruptions, I think in the long term, India is one of the best markets to invest in. The second thing is, which is very interesting, over the last 10, 15 years, a lot of capital in India that is being deployed is coming from domestic funds or domestic pools. And therefore, um, even if even if we see a sort of flight by because of sort of foreign investment, I would still see there's a solid enough base of domestic capital in India that has been built that will be supportive of the market. Now, as for us, I think we are primarily a technology investor, Sumita, and so we are investing across technology. I think the one thing that we have done over the last 1 year is, and this is something new, uh, is that in response to the let's say volatility in the global situation, um, we are deploying more than capital in the companies that we invest in. We are not building single companies or single entities. We're trying to build an ecosystem.
Right, Ashutosh, since you mentioned about investments in tech, let me sort of expand a bit more on that, and let me also connect to the developments of the day. Today, in the day, U.S. Ambassador Designate to India, Sergio Gore, did mention the fact that Pax Silica initiative that the United States launched for critical mineral supply chains and solidifying them, now that India is going to be part of that as well, and it's gotten the stocks up also, related stocks. But from an investor point of view, how do you really see these comments, and how do you look at this particular sector with respect to critical minerals and the United States focus on this along with several other countries?
I must start by saying that I'm not an expert in sort of material science or metallurgy or metals, but what I will say is that um, such development is only going to benefit India. As a emerging economy, a country that is building fast, and we are building fast across the board. It could be offline infrastructure, it could be online infrastructure, and it could be grid infrastructure. Across these three, you need such supply. And as part of this sort of global forum, I think would be net positive for India, and especially for sectors which are, of course, um, directly benefited. But let me say this, everyone is directly or indirectly benefited because of this.
All right, Ashutosh, since you mentioned about AI, well, India is going to be hosting the AI Summit in February, but let's also delve a bit upon the AI piece. Which are the areas of opportunity that you see, and what are India's strengths as far as the AI play is concerned, given the fact that we have seen rapid strides that are being made by countries, for example, the United States, Europe also, and of course, the latest entrant being China. How do you see India's strength as far as that AI piece and India's place in the global AI map as far as that is concerned?
So look, I think our strengths lie in a couple of things. One, as I said, I think we have almost world-class talent when it comes to building apps on top of this AI infrastructure. We also have unique data that is available only in India that could be helpful in developing underlying foundational models. And also we have the intent through policy incentives like the National Compute Grid, um, which is supportive of development within the AI space. Now, having said that, I do feel that India today is standing at AI crossroads. On one end, we can use AI to reduce a bunch of inefficiencies that are there just because we are an emerging economy. 14% of our total GDP is on logistics. Compare that to 8%, 7% in developed countries. Can we use AI now where vehicles can talk to each other and ensure smooth logistics? I know we are building infrastructure, but beyond that, how can we reduce that? Can we now provide to a small MSME or a small retailer an AI CFO in the box or a AI CHRO in the box, and thereby reducing a lot of inefficiencies that have crept into these businesses.
Right, Ashutosh, you've spoken about very many interesting ideas, but as far as Prosus is also concerned, you have investments in AI spanning across Arivihan, Code Karma, and Deccan AI. Which AI plays are you going to be banking on in 2026, given the fact that there's been an explosion of this technology, and which segments within AI are looking good as strategic bets for Prosus?
So we just have two broad segments, Sumita. One is AI for India, and then the other one is AI for the world. And within AI for India, I feel that this is the perfect technology to bridge the gap of supply and demand for quality education and quality health in the country. How many schools will be built? How many teachers will be trained? How many hospitals will be built? There will never be enough. And the only way to bridge that gap today is through AI. And we have made that first investment in education. We will make some more in education, healthcare, and other areas. And the second bucket is using this deep availability of tech talent. Can we build products that are not just built in India or sort of built in India, but for the world? And therefore are not limited in their total addressable market by the size of India, but are limited by the size of the world. And that's where we're investing in companies like Emma, Code Karma, who both have non-India revenue much higher than India revenue. So it's in those two buckets, and we are kind of all in, Sumita, on AI.
All right. So education and health and how these two segments, how they change, they get changed by AI rather, is something that you'll be looking at, Ashutosh. But speaking of another big sector that you're really bullish on is quick commerce. You've invested in Swiggy. Swiggy has, of course, diversified into very many different business domains. But would you be looking at backing more quick commerce companies, given that brokerages have expressed concerns over cash burn in the segment? And what is your view on where quick commerce as a sector, as an industry, is headed in 2026?
Yeah. If I take a step back, it's hard for me to see a product with a stronger product market fit than quick commerce.
True.
It's just insane. The number of orders that people place, power users. I'll give you an example. My mother, who lives in a tier two city, probably the only product that she uses online digitally is quick commerce. And so I'm not too concerned. And in situations where I see strong product market fit, profits, cash flow will come because the customers love the product. And therefore, I'm not too concerned about that per se. You are absolutely right. This is now spreading across categories. One of our other portfolio companies, Urban Company, which got listed last year, has recently launched a quick help at home service. And that is by far the fastest growing product within the help at home category. And so I'm just, and this is the beauty about India. We take leap. And I don't see this happen anywhere across the world. And so I am pretty sure, Sumita, that this is going to happen across categories. And in fact, we are building some of the infrastructure for this. One of our other portfolio companies, Elastic Run, is building a quick commerce infrastructure for the brands to be used directly. And so, yes, I think I'm extremely excited about what this will bring. Within the grocery space, we have taken our bet. Within the home help at space, we have taken our bet. But in other sectors, we may as well invest in potential quick delivery of service opportunities.
Right, Ashutosh. So quick everything. We'll have to see which other industries get disrupted further by this quick commerce phenomenon that we have seen. But you've also invested across several other categories, and mobility is one of them. You've been very bullish. In fact, your global CEO, Fabrizio Bloisi, he also spoke about Rapido and the fact that mobility is one key sector that Prosus is going to be betting big on. But when you see Rapido as a test case, for example, well, the financials have been great of the company in the past quarter, but with the company spreading across other categories, is that sustainable?
Look, I think when you have as many number of users as Rapido has, when you have the brand love as Rapido has, it's obvious or it's normal for you to kind of try your hand at other categories. And so probably food is one, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But you won't see that experimentation stop. And to be fair, while we forget, but that is something that we've seen in the past also. Swiggy started as a food delivery company and then added quick commerce and then added dine out and then added minis and so on. So I think this platformization of large consumer plays is a phenomena. And it's not a domestic phenomena, it's a global phenomena. If you look at Uber, started as a mobility company, but then moved on to food delivery as well. So I'm pretty sure that people will try a lot of experimentation. As for Rapido, I think the core business continues to grow extremely, extremely fast.
Yes.
Team, this as a team is truly, truly special. Their ears are on the ground. They've built a product which truly kind of finds fit with the needs of Indian customer. And therefore, while we will do a lot of experiments, it could be food delivery, it could be something else, but the core remains intact and super solid.
All right, Ashutosh, let's also talk about your investments, your cumulative investments in India worth over $8 billion. It spans across payments, e-commerce, quick commerce, and mobility, all of some of which we just spoke about. But what are the other sectors of interest apart from all of these sectors, and how much is Prosus here marking for this year?
In terms of the areas of interest, um, I think two stand out. One is for building for Bharat. People like you and me are well served across all categories: food delivery, grocery, urban company, mobility, and so on and so forth. But there's another India, that is Bharat, that is the next 200, 300 million households. Their requirements of a product are completely different from what you and I want. And therefore, I think that heterogeneity of India allows for more companies in the same space. So you will see more e-commerce companies, more mobility companies, and so on, who are building for Bharat. Misha is a good example of that. So that's one area of interest. The second one continues to be AI. I like people talk a lot about the bubble, but I think that technology is legit. Valuation, I don't know, but the technology is extremely, extremely legitimate. It is going to change the course of how work is done across all verticals, from media to investing, everything. And therefore, we want to participate in building that technology. And not just that, I think we want to participate and help India come out at the top on the other side.
All right, Ashutosh, just one final question before we let you go. And this essentially is on the upcoming budget. As somebody who is from the VC ecosystem, what are your budget expectations? Of course, when we speak to startup companies and founders and entrepreneurs, the one thing that they consistently speak about is the fact that there should be availability of more pools of capital. Would you agree with that? And secondly, what is your wish list for the finance minister of the country for the upcoming budget?
Yeah, look, I think capital, there's more than enough available in India. I don't feel that capital is, and capital is not the best thing to ask of the government also. I think what we should ask for is policy sandboxes, where within certain areas you're allowed certain level of experimentation. Example, with AI. And with that experimentation, can you now develop a product that can be deployed across India? I'll give you an example, right? AI, use of AI in healthcare. Can we have a regulatory sandbox that allows experimentation with 100, 200, 500, 1,000 patients? And on the other side, if we feel this works, then we should deploy it to all ASHA workers in India. All of them have a phone, right? They should have this. They should be the first port of call for every patient in India. And that's how we take the quality of healthcare in India from here to here. So I think I look forward to such policy sandboxes from the government.
All right. We do hope that the finance minister and her team are listening, and it'll be interesting to see the kind of allocation that gets revealed, that gets assigned to the startup ecosystem. Thank you very much, Ashutosh, on that note, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, time now for us to switch to the other big story that we're tracking here on the show. Well, last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a roundtable meeting with representatives of 12 Indian AI startups who've qualified for the AI for All Global Impact Challenge in India. The India AI Impact Summit is to be held in February this year. In fact, the startups, as you can see on your television screens, they were the ones that are working in a diverse set of areas like healthcare, multilingual LLMs, material research, data analytics, engineering simulations, amongst others. In fact, to talk about that meeting and what was the Prime Minister's message to all the founders who were in that meeting, joining me now is Genloop CEO Ayush Gupta, who was part of that meeting. He is joining us now on the show. Thank you very much, Ayush, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now.